Hey, folks, the Black Dog Salvage Podcast is brought to you by Mountain Khakis.
Yes.
I love that company.
You know, we were out in the field a lot. We were rough on clothes. Mountain Khakis withstood the brunt.
You know, and they supported us through the whole, all the seasons we did.
Absolutely.
You know?
All us guys and Grayson as well. They got great wear for women.
And workwear, because obviously women work.
Women work.
Harder. Grayson worked harder than we did.
Yeah, she did.
You know, I learned that in the field and I took it home. My 3 daughters wear Mountain Khakis and so does my wife. And they look good.
Y'all are a Mountain Khaki family.
We never look better.
Absolutely. Folks, stick with Mountain Khakis. It's good workwear. It's good warm wear. It's good cold wear. It's just all around good wear.
Oh, I'm supposed to say something.
Welcome back from wherever you just were. What's your name, man? Tell your name. We're going to go around the table.
So you just stuck, hi, Mike Whiteside.
You're right there.
Yeah.
Right there.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
Who are you today?
All right. Hey, it's Mike Whiteside.
And Robert Kulp here.
And Tay Whiteside. And welcome back to the Black Dog Salvage Podcast. We're here again in Dad's office.
We are. I want you people to know what we're all about, what the podcast is all about.
Because there's a very good chance that they still have no idea what this show is about.
I think there's a very
You know what? Evidently, I don't know either. So
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I might be discovering some stuff right now.
Well, what we're about, the podcast is about, is talking to interesting people, like-minded people, salvage guys,
makers.
Yeah.
Artistes.
Artistes? Is that a special saying? The way you say that?
Yeah, artistes, you know, people who use or upcycle stuff.
Right. Then we're also trying to give people tips. You know, that may be tips on how to salvage things. That may be tips just getting through the day, through life.
Wow. So we're becoming life coaches now?
Are those coming from you?
No.
We're going to have...
I think you know better than that.
We're going to have the Whiteside psych ward working on you here. So
we've seen it before and also
No, we haven't. We haven't seen a thing.
And then in every episode, we'll also give you some behind the scenes from different episodes from the show.
I'm really excited about that because I want to look back when I was 20 pounds lighter and I don't have to go on a diet. I like it.
You still look good in shorts, though, Rob.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Really? You got worse through the whole thing.
That was
you
a
get those
joke.
chicken legs at the end. You know?
What are you talking about? These legs are gorgeous.
Well,
that's what we're going to do
Don't
each
backtrack.
and every podcast. But let's talk about what we're going to do in this podcast because I'm pretty excited about the whole key topic. And
This is
that
a good
is we're going to talk to Grayson Goldsmith Hollingsworth.
Yeah, everybody should know.
Salvage
Grayson.
Dawgs.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah,
So
we
could,
so miss her.
It's a lucky day.
Salvage sister. Oh, yeah.
My daughter from another mother.
Yeah. And in fact, I think we're going to get our top tip today from Grayson.
Oh,
It's
she's bringing
as
it.
our special.
Yeah,
Whether she knows it or not.
She's got lots of skills.
Yeah.
I think she's probably still in therapy for that.
Hard stuff.
You know, she should get battle pay. You know, and you had to have been there, guys, because it was a tight environment. And
Well, it wasn't smooth. This week, we're going to talk about episode 113, the stick-style house.
is that proper?
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
it is correct. I identified it as a stick-style
Okay.
house, and so
Oh, yeah.
therefore it's stuck. But it's a Al Bennett house in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Yeah,
which
it was right. And apartments were built all around it, and it was this last house from a farm, I think.
Yeah, it was
wasn't
an old farmhouse, and it was a great house to salvage. It was sorry to see it go, but time had passed.
Yeah, it was a dinosaur sitting in the middle of a.
We'll get back to it.
Well,
Okay,
yeah, if
okay.
you want to stick around for that, because Dad's going to bleed in this episode, of course. Well, could be any episode.
That's a forgive. Yeah,
We
foregone
destroy a front
conclusion.
porch and we find drug paraphernalia.
Yeah.
So hang out for that.
Absolutely. But right after the break, when we come back, it's Grayson to the rescue.
Woohoo!
Thanks, Grayson. Miller Welders.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah.
Do it again.
Well, no, I was sorry. I was making a deep joke.
All right, Miller Welders, guys, is something that's been around the shop since the beginning.
Yeah, it's what I learned to weld on. It's what you taught me how to weld
I mean,
on.
we traded. I won't say the guy's name for a blue Bobcat Miller welder. And so that was a generator and a welder. So I did my first job on one.
Me too.
You know,
And ever since, it is a brand association thing, but it's also, I've tried other brands and I don't like them. No thanks.
yeah. Well,
Millers are just the
luckily that's all we had, and they've supplied the best welders they had, the cutting edge welders that they had on sale to the public and to the commercial industry.
Mm-hmm.
And it was I wanted them to slow down on bringing me new stuff because I hadn't even scratched it yet.
I mean, get a chance to know you.
We've only been around 6 months.
No, but you said it. Whether you're a beginner or a pro,
Yeah.
it's the best welder you can ever
Exactly.
get.
We've been blessed to have Miller Welders support us.
And welcome back to the Black Dog Salvage Podcast.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
We're pretty excited here. We've got
Yeah.
a very special guest with us today.
Well, we've
Very
had
special.
many special guests on the show,
It's-
but this one in particular.
Absolutely. And it's sad that she has to be a guest now. You know, she used to be around us all the time.
All we have to do is give her a paycheck. She'll probably come back.
I'm guessing not quite yet.
No.
But y'all know who we're talking about. It is none other than Grayson Goldsmith, now Grayson Hollingsworth. Welcome to the show.
Yay! Thank you. It's so good to be back at the dog
But not really be back.
in this form.
Yes. In all reality, we haven't, the four of us, since
Haven't
the
hung
end of
out.
the show, really haven't spent that much time
Yeah,
together.
because COVID hit.
Well, that too. Yeah.
So it was kind of hard to
is
hang
that-
out for a
is-
little bit.
Is that what you're claiming is the reason that you haven't come and visited?
I became a mother.
Yeah.
Well, there you
Those
go.
are some big things.
Y'all been working on a house. Yeah.
Yep.
But so, Grayson, you've been obviously part of the Black Dog family for
Mhm.
a while. I think probably, 10 years
Yeah.
almost? now?
Well,
Yeah.
even longer than that. When did we go
Yeah.
to the beach together with your family?
Oh, right.
You guys knew
This
each
is
other
way
way
back,
before.
way
Way back.
I mean, you were what, 10 years old?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Which-
Yeah, we would go
Yeah.
down to Holden Beach or Oak Island,
Mhm.
and I'd take my
Michael had a
catamaran down
catamaran.
there. So we would sail the catamaran down the beach to the volleyball pit where the family would sit
Where
there.
my family was set up.
Yeah.
And you would take us each out on the catamaran. It was
Yeah.
like a 2-man catamaran, right? Or
Yeah,
something. I just remember it was like,
That was enough.
we couldn't take the whole family, you know?
That's-
But yeah, you would help, you like taught me how to sail it.
Yeah. And that was, we met your family
Yeah.
and you way back when, and then
Mhm.
you went off to school
Mm-hmm.
to
Went to Appalachian
State.
State. Yeah. And I remember the Molly birthday parties.
Oh, yeah.
Those were a
the
thing
open house
back in
birthday
the day.
party.
Yeah, just
Oh,
every year we
you-
have a big open house to celebrate the first Black Dog's birthday.
Molly.
It was a big party.
It got so big that we
It
had to
was a
stop.
big
We had to
party.
shut it
Yeah.
Couldn't
down.
afford it.
When it
But
got
even
over
as a
500.
kid, like my parents would come to these parties, and so I would come, you know. But I remember coming to those here, and I was in school at Appalachian State. But before I studied abroad in Scotland, I came here with my dad, and you gave me a T-shirt,
I wanted
a
you to wear
long-sleeve
it in
T-shirt.
Scotland.
He's like, yeah. So I took that to Scotland, and I truly wore it around, and like I still have pictures from my trip
And she knew.
abroad
It was then
in my
that
Black
she
Dog
knew.
shirt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing y'all might forget is my brother worked here
Mhm.
before me. Remember that?
Yeah, I
of
became
course.
friends with Will
Mhm.
before.
This is
you and
truly
I
a
became
family
friends.
affair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. Well, we're a small town, and
Yeah.
we hire local.
And
So, how
yeah.
you got back to us was, as I remember,
Mhm.
you just got back into town.
Mhm.
Your dad was ill,
Mm-hmm.
and you were needing something to
I
do.
needed a
and-
job and a
and-
distraction.
and a distraction. Well,
Yeah.
we had both.
Yeah.
Heavy on the
Unfortunately,
distraction.
I don't know who it was that got in contact with me or if I came here first, but it was just the most casual application process ever. I mean, there really wasn't an application,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
it was
there you
just
go.
like,
That was
hey,
it.
Want a
you
job?
want a job?
I remember, I believe it
Yes.
was Mike that Mike said, hey, we need somebody for the television show. We need help at Black Dog because we
Mhm.
were expanding
Creative.
very
Yeah.
quickly. This was, and so, okay, well, we need some more help in the store and we need some more help on the road. And Mike goes, well, how about Grayson Goldsmith? And I'm like, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So you got drafted.
We had everything. We had everything but her approval. We had already hired her.
Don't
She
need
just
that.
didn't know.
Yeah.
Don't
I
need
was
that.
fresh out of college, didn't have any other trajectory that my life was going towards. And so it was an emphatic yes.
But it was just kind of
on my
serendipity
part.
because what you studied at App State
Mhm.
I was
was,
going to bring that up.
Sustainable development.
there you go.
Yeah.
you have it.
So I definitely was interested in what I call like the ethos of Black Dog, you know, our reduce, reuse, recycle aspect.
Captain
So
Planet.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
It's the idea of Black Dog that I like a lot myself.
I think that's what most people
Black
like.
Dog is a little painful.
Robert's a little jaded. These were our fun years, you know, when
Absolutely.
we started with Grayson and her first episode in the cold.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah.
It was up at the homestead.
Okay.
The Homestead. Hot
Yeah.
Springs.
Major initiation
Oh, yeah.
was my first salvage job.
Not that we did that here at Black
No,
Dog.
no,
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 no.
not
No,
hazing.
Mother
Just
Nature.
initiation,
Mother
sorry.
Nature was initiating you because I'm telling you what, it was. Oh, I always tell everybody when that story is, it was 11 degrees and then it got cold.
And then it got
Sure.
cold.
Yeah.
Yes. And there was like 2 feet snowdrift up the building wall
Yeah.
that we were salvaging that day. And it was one of the hardest jobs, like truly one of the hardest jobs we've ever done. I mean, we were there for, I think, 4 or 5 days, worked the whole day,
Oh, yeah.
you know, and just like this building was just a massive building and we just tore it almost completely down. And I was like, okay, so that's what this is going to be like.
That's what they
Okay.
do. Yeah.
This is what I've agreed to.
Well, luckily, she didn't sign a contract. You did have an out, that way, you know.
It was-
For us,
it
you
was
know.
awesome.
Man.
It really was
perfect.
awesome.
I don't even think we changed. We just went from work clothes to the beer cooler. Really.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was really cool.
For those that are lost already, that we're talking about an episode that
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll cover in another one of these episodes. That's like an episodeception.
It's
Mhm.
deep. It's like mirror.
So that
mirror,
was
mirror.
the homestead was episode 6, I think, of season 1, or maybe episode 5 of season 1.
Well, it aired, I just looked it up, but it aired, it was 109. But
109.
we filmed it like chronologically.
And it was her. It was
Oh.
her first venture with us
Yeah.
out on
Yeah.
the road.
So you had your degree, and I think that we all know how rough that transition can be from like college to the real world.
Yeah. And
Well,
what do
I
you
don't
do
because
with
I
your
didn't finish
degree?
college, but you got
Smart
the
man.
degree. We approved your application. They did.
Yeah.
What was it like going from degree to a foot and a half of snow in Virginia salvaging a stable?
And this is your field.
On camera. Yeah.
Oh yeah, on a national television show.
It was, I mean, I don't even want to say it was a rude awakening because I honestly jumped in, like, just was so excited about this. It was really hard. And I was just stoked to be learning more because this was what I saw as, you know, a kind of a continuation of my degree. I just saw this as like furthering my education. In this case, it was going to be about architecture and salvage, breaking down of architecture. And little did I know about building.
You have the best attitude possible for any of this.
And always
No,
had.
I got to say, I can remember. Yeah, I mean, you didn't have a whole lot of experience with tools.
I mean,
there
you're being
was just,
generous with that. No, I had no experience.
It was the reality of the situation is that she was, you know, a blank slate when it came to field work, and
Yeah.
a liability, some would call that.
No, I'm a liability.
Yeah, exactly. She's smart and she's careful.
Yes.
And then picked it all up. And there's some people who will just, you know, maybe some get hit in the head and start
Mhm.
bleeding all the time. I don't know.
I wonder who that could
I mean,
be.
there was that, especially that first week, and early on, you know, at my time on Salvage Dawgs, I was really aware of like the role I was playing, being that I was so green to this. I am the only female in the field. I didn't want to seem like the weak link or some kind of stereotypical ditz or something. So especially being that this is going to be recorded. So I struggled with not being an expert and trying to not look stupid on national television.
Yeah, but you took it on as a learning experience, and I am green, but I'll do anything.
And was able to do.
Yeah,
Pick
and
it
that's
up.
where you picked it up.
And, you know, I mean, there was it, and it also gave us an opportunity to say, hey, go do this, but this is how this gets
How
done.
it's
And you
done.
can
Yeah, you guys are
verbalize
really
this is how this was going
Patient.
to happen. And some of that made it into the show
Yeah.
actually on the down the road. And
Yeah.
some of it was just part of the actual learning environment. And
Right.
it was all happening at the same time.
I think this
thought
is
that was
how you
cool.
became an expert in what you do, too. This is like the hardware. You
Mm,
became
mhm.
our hardware expert,
Mhm.
which, you know, we needed, right? So, Grayson, when you were in New Orleans there for a while before
Mhm.
you came back up to Roanoke, right?
That's true.
And
yeah.
what were you doing in
Yeah.
New
Good
Orleans?
memory there, Mike. So actually, between college and moving back to Roanoke, I did move back to New Orleans for a little bit and was not also in a field of my expertise, like you do some college kids. Went on Craigslist and looked for a job and saw an opportunity as a stand-in for Brooke Shields, and
Oh, I
it
can
turns
see it.
out she and I are the exact same height. And that's pretty much all I needed to be
And now you're qualified. Yeah.
hired.
This-
Um,
what a skill set.
But I got to work for 5 weeks with her.
Nice.
I don't even know how long. Maybe it was like 5 months. Like she was so nice, just as everybody's always said about her.
I just
and
thought everybody would want to
it
hear
was a
that
cool job.
story.
technically, that was my first job on television.
There you go. Well,
In
there
the-
you go.
Grayson,
That
what,
was a
what do you
silver
think
screen,
the possibility is you could reach out to her and see if you couldn't get her on our podcast?
You think you want to be on the podcast?
I'm going to say slim to none.
Yeah. Speaking of skills and expertise, that's the part we try to dive into with our guests with this version of on-the-job training
Mm-hmm.
and loose usage of the word expert
And training.
all across and training and safety. What maybe did you feel like became your expertise
Man.
on salvage or in the shop?
Because you were exposed to a lot of stuff,
Everything,
from
yeah.
the salvage to the organization of it, to the selling of it, to the fabrication of stuff in the shop. That's where I really enjoyed working with you. I mean,
Yeah,
all the
same.
time.
Ditto.
I enjoyed all the
Ditto.
other time, but
I mean,
that
the
was a real
baseline
special.
is, you know, up front was the salvage. But at the same time, she, you know, if you recall, Grayson was at the counter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which
Mhm.
is-
She was the
That's
face.
that is
For
the school.
years.
That's the school of hard knocks. right?
Yes, it is.
It really is. Yeah. It's
Well, you
true.
learn a
Retail.
People
business.
coming in,
Yeah,
there's
you-
always people trying to sell stuff. So I had to quickly learn how to suss out what people are trying to sell and what they really want for it and what we really are willing to pay.
Yeah, we taught you well.
Negotiation 101.
Because you would
That's a
pay a
valuable-
lot less than we would, which was great. We taught her right. Yeah,
I had a couple good ones. I had a couple flops.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, just threw me into the fire being at the front counter. But I also had to know what I was talking about. If I was selling something, people coming with questions, they're looking for specific items. And architecture was not anywhere in my historical wheelhouse.
But you learned it from the ground up, OJT, so to speak. You know, because you have to be able to kind of talk the talk, and you knew when not to talk the talk, because there's somebody's going to call you on it.
Yeah,
and they do all the time. You know, that's not a carpenter lock. That's a regular old Yale. You know,
Right.
it's like, okay, details.
Details. Just make up a story about
Yeah.
it. It's
Yeah.
not the technical
And,
side.
and
It's the
dig your
history.
heels in on that story
Yeah,
too.
absolutely.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I dare you to call BS on that.
But
Yeah.
you took the thing apart, so you knew where it came
Right.
from. A lot of
Mhm.
times.
I mean, it would be nice
was
to
the
have
biggest
the
part of it,
rest of
yeah.
our crew, our today's crew, go on salvage jobs and
Yeah.
figure it out, because that's how you learn. You
Yeah.
learn nomenclature through Robert's
Brilliance.
Yeah.
Brilliance.
Yeah, brilliance.
Yeah, you were gonna say
He was
brilliance.
gonna
I
say
said it.
brilliance.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was kind of,
You didn't want to say it, but you knew with the truth.
I had another
Yeah.
word, but that's, this is a family show.
But yeah, I mean, when I started, there was like only 10 people or so working here. So we all wore multiple hats. And so I did get to work in the field, at the shop, like at the front counter, down in the shop with Mike a couple times. And then I ended up doing like a little bit of research towards the end.
Well, there's that, and then you took over. Basically we expanded and had to have another warehouse, and Grayson was the king of the warehouse.
That was my domain for a little bit.
That's right. She was our warehouse woman.
So we've covered all these things that you did as Black Dog Salvage, but then we had this whole other world up here that Mike and you and me really ended up doing. It was closing the business deals that made every episode. And Grayson was one of the producers of the operation. Didn't get any credit, just like you,
Neither
Mike.
you or I.
I know.
Neither you or
We
I.
had to find these jobs for our episodes.
All right. Well, listen, we've had a lot of yucking it up here, but after the break, we're going to find out what you really liked about Black Dog Salvage while you were here.
Milwaukee Tools, fellas.
Fella.
Milwaukee Tools.
Yeah. What are you going to say about it?
They've been around forever. But
Is that
also, I think
Forever's a long time.
That is a
and
long
within
time.
our collection of tools, if this was a good thought. Give me a sec.
Yeah, it
It
still
wasn't
is.
perfectly formed, but I
So
think
if
you're
you
going to
had
get
your
there.
choices, that's what I'm getting at. You would pick. Everybody would fight over the Milwaukee as opposed to another
It
brand.
happened all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we had a lot of Milwaukee, and like if they were all picked out of the truck and I got there late and there were no Milwaukees,
Wah, wah.
I was a sad
The
worker.
salvage day was not complete.
I was a sad worker
That's
because
right.
everything else would die too fast. It felt like a toy. Milwaukee's just like, yes, I'm going to do some work today. Despite the feeling of not wanting to do work, Milwaukee was in my hands. So
It made you want to work.
That's right.
How about that?
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
that's right.
Yeah. Good stuff, guys. Milwaukee Tools.
Get you some.
Stay close to your mic. Like
I am close to the mic. I'm 4 inches away. 4 inches away.
critical.
wandering around.
All right, folks, we're back with a Black Dog Salvage podcast,
Yes,
and
we are.
we've got Grayson Hollingsworth with us today, and we're gonna keep talking about all the great times we had. And speaking of those, what's your favorite memories of working here at Black Dog Salvage, if any?
Besides the paycheck.
Jeez.
Oh, the paycheck.
That's a loaded question.
I have so many good memories of working here, but my most favorite salvage job, most dear and to my heart, which you guys probably know I'm about to say, is the one downtown Roanoke at the St. Andrew's Church.
Ah.
The steeples.
That episode, the steeples. We got to salvage part of the steeples for them. And it's so special to me because of my family history there. I'm not Catholic, but one side of my family is. And my great grandmother, who I was fortunate to know well into my adulthood, was a huge member there and kind of a big deal. She
wasn't the Pope, but
yeah, next best thing.
It's a popette.
Which is ironic. She's so tiny. She didn't even break 5 feet, but she was just the biggest firecracker there ever was. First generation Italian. And they actually dedicated the grottos to her. And so there is a plaque there for her. Her rosary are entombed there. And some of the roses and flowers are from her garden still.
I'm
So
starting to tear up
getting
about
to-
this.
I know.
I don't think I ever
Getting
knew all
to-
that.
oh, I didn't know that. That was great.
yeah, getting to work on the salvage that day was just so incredible because if you guys remember, we got to, go to the top of the spires. Which
It was
like
wild.
Yeah, so for everybody in the audience, this is the Catholic Cathedral in downtown Roanoke, and it has two very large spires at the front and the north exit of the church. And
You see it from the
they
highway.
had started to kind of.
they had started to kind of tip over,
Yeah.
and this church is on a hill, and then these things are just very tall.
Very
so
tall.
I would have never thought we would ever be
Yes.
at the top. And you took the crosses off of one of those spires.
Oh my God. I
didn't
think I could cry just thinking about it now.
Off
Just the view,
yeah.
the moment of it all was just so big as a Roanoker to be there, and
that's a place only
forever grateful.
pigeons and helicopters get to see.
Quasimodo.
Well, there it is. Pigeons, helicopters, and now Grayson.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You're in
and
good
the
company.
rest of the salvage.
Good company.
There was plenty of times on salvage jobs where I was like way scared of heights, but that was not one of them.
Yeah, a lot of people
I felt
say
very
that.
safe.
Yeah, they say the same thing to
Mhm.
me. He says, "Weren't you scared?" I said, "I was just
Mhm.
walking."
Mike is not afraid of heights. One of our last salvage jobs we did was up at the DC like big complex, we were salvaging, and we had a pretty big night. I think this was like the last day we were going to be there for like 2 weeks.
What exactly do you mean by a big night? What are we doing? We've worked really hard into the evening.
No.
We celebrated pretty hard that we were about done with the salvage, but we were not done with this salvage. So I remember I was just hungover enough and up in the top of this like 3 or 4 story building with Mike on a scissor lift, and he's just wailing at it because Mike, he's just Mike, and
He's not subtle. Yeah.
I was afraid for my life. I think that's the only time on the salvage job I was afraid. And there's no need to be. It's perfectly safe.
And
I had my harness on, but I was just hungover, and Mike was doing Mike things, and I was like, I can't do it, Mike.
Are you scared?
Taking down lights, nonetheless.
You're the lighting.
The light.
How did that?
Expert.
We can touch on it briefly, but I must bring it up because it became such a thing. I think Ted started it just as you're the lighting expert, maybe because no one else wanted to pull down lights.
It was because Ted didn't want to pull down lights,
Right.
and so he was like, "Oh, Grayson, you're the lighting expert." And I was like, "No, and I had no say because it was like there was no one else.
She was low man on the totem pole. As far as, come on, we're just seniority
the whole time.
But pulling lights down is very crucial because one bad, slip of the hammer or screwdriver, it's happened before.
Are you thinking of what I'm thinking?
Yeah, no, I'm not. But we're not talking out of school here.
That was a good memory, though, honestly. So what Mike and I are thinking of, what was the salvage job where my tooth chipped?
That was in Rock Hill.
Rock Hill.
The power plant in Rock Hill, South Carolina.
Yeah. Yes.
What were you guys?
You guys were taking insulators off the power line.
I was up top and a bolt came out with the insulator and goes, bink. I couldn't stop it.
So it's like bright. I'm outside, like
probably looking up with your mouth open.
And I was, evidently my mouth is my.
She was obviously
like.
I was horrified.
It was
horrified. The only attractive person on the whole crew.
By a mile.
This was like 2 months before my wedding too. I was like, I was like, it's cool. Cool.
We're gonna have to buy her a new tooth.
But now I have a great story. It ended up being awesome because I didn't get hurt. It didn't hurt my nerve of my tooth or anything. Right. And I do have half of a fake front tooth. And I love that about me now.
So does your dentist.
Improved.
Gen 2.
It was a good memory for sure.
Was there anything else that you liked here down in the shop? Did you like any of the fabrication?
Let's talk about the shop because I'm just so grateful that you guys would even let me come down in the shop because I didn't have any experience beforehand, but everyone was so patient with me when I got down there and encouraging because I could kind of be shy about it. But the first build I did down the shop was really special just because it was my first, and I kind of helped come up with the idea with you. It was the book lamp, if you'll remember.
Yeah.
That was way back.
Yeah.
And Mike Pay helped me braze those door escutcheons into a lampshade, which was a lot harder than I was like, oh, let's just do this. Showed him like a picture. He was like, okay. I think he worked on that for like the whole weekend. Yeah.
Well, and if you've never drilled a hole in a book before, it's not as easy as it might seem.
Yeah. I feel like you're like on the table, like using the
results. The thing was great.
It was great. It was great.
Everything.
We certainly had a lot of
we all looked
books
great at the
to
end.
use. Yeah. And it was all salvage. That was, of course, you know.
It wasn't a first editions or anything.
Yeah.
That we know.
Well, speaking of having you in the shop, there's something I want to touch on real quick about like being coachable. And I was going to bring this up earlier when you like started working at Black Dog and you had the same trial by fire I had when I was, 10 years old? 8,
12.
When you brought me around.
Whatever the legal age is for
we'll call it
working children.
Insert legal child working age here. I had a permit or whatever you're supposed to have.
Sure, you did.
No,
Yeah.
you didn't.
But now I run my own business and I work with people, and there's something amazing when you find someone who is coachable and wants to learn, and they are patient and they will listen. People, I think a lot of young people now don't really listen all the way. You know, they listen enough to like respond, but there's no like real comprehension.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Some
not.
people-
It's not an app. It's reality.
Well,
Right.
I think patience is the
That
key
too.
word. Is having the patience to learn and to be accepting of it, as opposed to saying that's enough. I already know that.
I learned from him that way too. I
Yeah.
was a sponge. I couldn't get enough, and
I'm
still
sorry.
can't to this day.
Mm.
Well, there's some things I had to wring out of that sponge. But,
There's where that therapy's coming in.
but oh yeah, they're worth every penny. But as a craftsman, we are all craftsmen and women. But when you meet someone who does genuinely want to learn and does pick it up, it's like the best feeling ever, because it's like, oh, now I can share this thing that I'm
Knowledge.
passionate about and I've
Yeah.
become quite good at.
Now I can
With
put
this
them to work.
person.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, as business owners, that's the
and I
feeling.
can go learn something else.
But just as, I was lucky enough to not be burdened with, at the time, operating the business, it just really felt holistic, just pure passion towards the trade. And like, we got to goof off
It was
and
so
learn
fun.
together.
Yeah. I mean, how could you not be? Like, I don't know. It was just easy for me, but I wanted to learn, and I also
Yeah.
wanted to do a good job. And I
Right.
knew if I was careful and paid attention, I'd probably be able to do some more of that cool thing,
That's right.
All that hard work and learning how to do things, and all at the same time doing a television show
Mm.
while you're learning this stuff
man.
and looking good doing it. I mean, just to making it all make sense. It was
Under a
I mean,
microscope.
it's a pretty interesting experience, and we're glad we had you along the way.
Oh, I could cry right now.
Oh, go ahead.
It'll sound
like,
great
we'll
in
wait.
these microphones.
But not like we're going. Not like we're saying goodbye.
No,
But,
yeah.
you're going to be back in the in about 2 minutes, and I know it's not going to be another COVID year before you come back.
Is that a new measure in time?
COVID
a
year.
COVID
A
year?
COVID year.
Was it
It's
like
longer than a normal year.
3 times as
15
long.
months?
It's 15 months.
15
exactly.
Right.
It's a new COVID year. See why?
All right, so folks, hang on. We'll be back with Grayson's top tip. Stay tuned. Leatherman tools come in leather holsters and nylon one,
Yeah.
web one.
Yeah.
Which one do you prefer?
I like the web.
Yeah?
Yeah. Just because it's lighter and it doesn't mildew because I use it in the water. I'll go swimming with this thing.
Is that
I'm like,
sanctioned?
true.
I'm like,
Is that
You-
sanctioned?
He hunts with
yes, it is. It's stainless steel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's always a conundrum for me because I always give Leatherman waves to high school graduates, or college-bound kids, friends of my kids. That was the gift all the time. And in fact, a lot of them are like, "Hey, am I going to get a Leatherman when I
Yeah.
graduate from high school?"
You haven't been a good boy.
Yeah,
you
that's
don't
a
get a
good-
Leatherman.
boy or girl.
Yeah.
I'd never differentiate. All my girls have them, and their friends, if they graduated, I gave them one too. Going off to college, you need a whole lot of things. You got to be smart. You got to be ready. You got to have your books. You got to have a place to live. But if you don't have a Leatherman,
You're screwed.
you're screwed.
You'll
Yeah.
be working at
Yeah.
McDonald's in no time.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Well, you'll have your Leatherman there.
Yeah.
And the good part about a Leatherman, somebody that wears a Leatherman religiously. You always know that they have a tool on their belt.
Both of
that
y'all.
you can. I walk
Yeah.
up and grab one, and you're gonna get slapped, but sometimes it's worth it.
I don't go anywhere without my Leatherman except for church and court. And that's because it looks bad in church and they won't let you take it in.
Yeah, but if you could unhinge a door with your Leatherman in church, dude,
Yeah. They might need you.
God is looking.
We like Leatherman here at Black Dog Salvage. We love leather.
All right, guys. Well, welcome back to the hopefully most useful segment of the show, the DIY tip of the week. This is where we have our guests bring a tip that we can use and apply anywhere, at home, on a project, in our professional or personal lives, whatever.
Is this
And,
where the life coach comes in?
Could be.
Life
May-
coach.
Yeah,
I'm all
maybe
ears.
so.
But this week, obviously, we have Grayson with us. And as we've discussed, you wear many hats or had worn many hats. And the Black Dog hats are very heavy.
Big head.
Yes. Yes.
But so what is your DIY tip of the week for us?
Okay, so first tip I have.
wait a minute.
is-
That's Grayson's baby.
Can you hear my
Yeah,
baby?
that's so funny.
hey, Wade, that's the first time you're making it on a podcast.
And for the conspiracy theorists out there, it's not mine.
Yeah. That's like the longest running joke. Okay, so top tip. First one I have is for those who are interested in salvage. And it might seem obvious, but it's easy to forget. Don't wear jewelry on a salvage job. Don't wear I showed up my first salvage job with earrings on, and I think Mike, the best way possible, set me straight so I didn't lose an earlobe. Wedding rings, those things like that. Could lose a finger.
By the way, that's an OSHA rule as well.
That's an OSHA rule. So you know it's a good one. Second top tip I have is if you ever have the wonderful, wonderful pleasure of working with these guys that are around me, come with a really good sense of humor. These guys love innuendos and puns and funny words that don't mean anything. What they actually...
Double entendres.
Double entendres. Yeah. Mike has a whole vocabulary that's all to his own.
Yeah. I
still have
forgot.
Yeah.
You have that note on your phone still?
Y'all are putting together a glossary for me.
Yeah.
Every letter of the alphabet we had, sometimes each letter had more than one word.
A lot of S's. There's a lot of S's.
Yeah.
Your own take on the English language.
We really do need to publish that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I've got it in my notes right now on my phone. Okay, so the phonetic alphabet, which is like Alpha, Bravo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie.
Delta.
Okay, so we have a Mike's frenetic alphabet.
Frenetic alphabet.
Here it is. We don't have the full alphabet, but
please read it. And for context, if they still need it, if I may, just throughout the course of working together forever, Dad, as I like to explain, has a loose relationship with the English language.
Yeah.
And
he mixes in some like French too sometimes.
Wait.
You pick words and you stick to them for a while, and they're not sometimes
and
real
they're not
words.
They're not words.
Yeah.
They're
collections of letters that come out
words,
as a sound.
Or sometimes they are words.
Word.
But they're not words.
They're an abomination of words.
Some of these I won't say.
Yeah.
They'll
but
be published
some good
later.
ones.
You'll probably recognize a lot of them if you watch the Salvage Dawgs shows. So cattywampus.
Oh, that's
obviously a
and
big
that is,
one.
and obviously that's a real word.
That's a real word.
That is a word.
So you can't
skipping all this. We're gonna go down to S.
Careful.
I heard there was a lot of S's.
Schmegma.
Oh.
Sheath. These are words, but
well, it's also the pronunciation as well.
yeah. Sandbagging. I like that
Sandbagging.
one. Tickety boo.
Tickety boo.
Tickety boo.
Obviously patina. We got put it in the bank. I think is an idiom of yours.
Yeah. That's to eat enough so you don't get hungry later.
Monkey
Whether
puck.
it be roofing top.
Monkey puck. Monkey puck is a really good one.
Muck and pucky.
That's changed again.
So you get it.
Anywho, I should probably leave it there, but
no, I would. Yeah.
Maybe we might consult the producers on maybe posting that list, or maybe we'll comb through it and make it family friendly.
Yeah.
Man, it is so good.
We're gonna put it in the show notes, and you can buy it with.
And the title, the frenetic part, is the best part. You know what frenetic is?
I don't.
It's have you ever seen the map of where you have lumps on your head?
The
different sections of the brain.
Phrenology.
It's his head.
Yeah.
Phrenology is the study of the human skull, right?
Well,
the bumps all it.
It's not science. Okay.
It's pseudoscience.
Who am I to say it's not science?
Let's ask Tom Cruise.
I don't know what science is these days. It's what you said.
So clearly come in with a great attitude, and you're going to have a great time if you work with these guys because they're the funniest people I know.
Well, there you have it.
You don't know many people.
Now that's a top tip.
That's a top tip.
Well,
I have one more.
Yeah.
I have one more, and this is like for everybody, not just those who are interested in salvage, but obviously that as well, is to never satiate your hunger for learning.
Ooh.
Always remain open-minded.
Right.
Because even if you do consider yourself an expert, there's probably more you can learn.
You're probably wrong.
You're probably wrong, yeah. Just when you think you're an expert.
Chances are.
You know how hard that is for Robert.
I forget what all that saying is. There's just a 3-stage saying, but the ones you want to worry about is the ones that don't know what they don't know.
They don't know.
That was a Donald Rumsfeld.
You stay well clear of somebody who doesn't care.
They make it look enjoyable. Ignorance truly is bliss, but it's also
only
miserable.
for that person.
Yeah, everybody else. Ooh.
All right, so we got all tipped out here. So we're going to take a break here, and when we come back, we're going to go over episode 113, which was the Stick
Style House in Knoxville, Tennessee.
That's right. So stay tuned, guys. Come on back. We'll be right back.
See you in a sec.
Back. That's not one of the words.
I just happened to look over at Bob's face.
Just frenetic.
Frenetic.
Yeah, mountain khakis is what I wear. 90% of my work wear is mountain khaki. And that's because it's tough. It's comfortable.
Well, it's stylish too, man. I mean, you are a fashionista.
Everybody says so.
Yeah. I mean,
everybody says so.
I know you don't have a mirror at home, but you got to look at yourself every once in a while.
There's a fantastic website where you can pick out anything you want. It's all there.
Styles change all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Summer, winter, all that stuff. And it's all there.
They're built for mountain tough. So guess what? We live in the mountains.
Yeah, let's get to the beach every once in a while.
Yeah.
They got stuff for that
too.
They
look good there too.
But even if you need something right away, which I have on occasion, it's sold locally, usually sold in like a local outdoors shop.
Mm-hmm.
So check your local market first. All available, all good, all the time. Mountain khaki. All right, folks, welcome back to the Black Dog Salvage Podcast. We still have Grayson with us, and we're into the part of the show where we'd like to go over one of our favorite episodes. And in this case, this was episode 113, meaning it was the first season and one of the first episodes that Grayson participated in. And
episode 13.
This was the last episode of our first season.
That's exactly right. It took place in Knoxville, Tennessee, but there was a lot of things that went on with the show. Each one of the shows had a kind of a pace. So audience would know, hey, beginning of Black Dog, we have somebody comes in with something they brought in. We get a kind of weird dude comes in with some stuff. And in this case,
we call it.
Yeah. And then we'll have our morning meeting, which I always love to talk about the morning meeting because, well, the morning meeting.
A good morning meeting.
The morning meeting always happened a couple weeks after all the show had been shot.
Yes,
so,
that's a great point.
So we knew exactly what we were going to do.
It's amazing how we always executed
followed
the plan
that chronology.
No, watch out for that thing. It might go poorly. Yeah, and then it does.
One of my favorite things about this particular episode, beyond the actual house, the stick-style house in Knoxville part, was the build. Shop build.
Yes.
There was always a shop build, and this was a good one.
Yeah, and that was a real good one. We found it on another job, the truck front.
It was a 1950s Ford school bus front end.
Right. And we found it.
It had beautiful color.
Remember the guy that turned us on to that pick? Jesse Ray Cotta.
Yeah, local musician.
That's enough said about him.
That's enough.
And so I pulled it aside because I wanted to do a build with it. So when I found something like that, I said, I'll just put it aside, not for sale. So he came in and wanted it, and I said,
who's he?
Oh, the guy who owns Jack Brown's.
Yeah.
Aaron.
Yeah.
Jack Brown's Burgers and Beer, kind of a local franchise.
Well, it's a regional franchise.
Yeah, they started in Harrisburg.
Really good.
And I told him no. And he says, and that's unusual for me, but I got a little weepy about this one. And
you
he
were
said,
nostalgic too.
I was. And so he said, what's it going to take? I said, well, if you buy it, I got to build something with it. And that's what he was going to do with it.
Well, I mean, the fact of the matter is it involved burgers and it involved beer. And it turned into a tap system, and it was awesome.
It's rad.
But now you can send it back to me. It was brilliant.
Brilliant. Yeah. Well, and that's in the Roanoke Jack Brown. You can see that in downtown Roanoke right there on Market
I'd
Street.
highly advise going in there and having a beer. They got a great beer selection, but hey, by the way, their burgers are awesome.
Killer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fried Oreos.
That's all they do.
That's a nice plug.
Good.
Nailed it.
But beyond that, as always, there's the real episode, the meat of the episode. And this was this old pool house in Knoxville, Tennessee, and with a lot of work for who? Just us.
Well, I have a question going into this segment. Is this a bleeder episode or not a bleeder?
I can attest to the fact that this is a major bleeder.
Okay.
Ooh.
No. Major means you go to the hospital and have stitches.
Well,
this was
just because you didn't go.
It was a class 5. Of 1 to 10, this was a class 5.
Okay, we've got a scale now.
Yeah.
Just so everybody knows, this was a bleeder.
Yeah.
Class 5.
We're talking about Mike, by the way. The bleeder.
Yeah. So we're into it. You guys had taken the upstairs. You and Grayson.
As we usually do, top down.
What was the house? What was the building?
Well, it was a beautiful old stick style. Stick style is an architectural term for some probably the 1880s. Just a particular style. It's a paneling on the outside of it, the way it's put together. But that's what we named it, and it was a good looking house in a very bad neighborhood, and had a lot of great stuff in it, and also some syringes and some other good stuff.
A stained blow up mattress, as I recall from the episode.
Smelly.
Yeah, so it had been broken up to a lot of apartments. I mean, it was a really grand house in its day, and we see this a lot because obviously when we're coming onto a job, it's the end of this building's lifespan. So the last iteration of this was an apartment complex that apparently would rent to anybody.
One of the interesting little just side points is this was early on in your Salvage Dog career, and I was amazed at the limited amount of coverage that you got. You know, I mean, really, in the big scheme of things, Grayson wasn't in the open when we.
In fairness, I didn't get a lot either. I think that's because we were just still learning how to.
The pups.
I mean, it was y'all show.
Right. Early on,
And
it was
then-
like Mike and Robert. I mean, look at the intro. It's if Mike and Robert get
But
there
also,
first.
I mean, I was avoiding, like, I would like run and hide from those cameras sometime if I was doing something I didn't actually know what I was doing.
The thing is, you don't have to know what you're doing because it's just the show. You can hide
'Cause no
anything.
one
And
knows what
I
they're
eventually
doing.
learned that. I was
Well, I mean, there
comfortable.
was nobody else to do it though. I mean,
Yeah.
let's get something straight.
That's
right.
true. That
You
is
know,
true.
The salvage had to be done, and there was no other double secret crew coming in behind us to do the work.
Yeah, so we did the work, and
Yeah.
it was, and even when the camera guys had enough, we still had to finish.
Well, I think
This house had really great doors in it. It had really great hardware
Oh my
in it,
gosh.
mantles and tiles. The tile
Tile.
surrounds around it. And one of the great things about these old houses is they tell a story.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes they tell a story with additions or the way the house was added onto, and you can actually see what happened and how the family
Mhm.
grew. But always we would take mantles off, which were pretty easy. Wood mantles, removing them is probably the easiest money you're going to get. You know, sometimes they're even on hooks and you can pull them off the wall, but almost invariably there's secrets
Always.
behind.
yeah.
You know?
a lot of Christmas cards, you know, because
Sure.
they were put on the mantles, you know, to Santa Claus. But this
Mhm.
one had a
Never got there.
picture of a soldier, I think is what it was.
Yeah,
what-
yeah,
that
I
we
think
found.
that's right. That's right.
And so that tells the history. This is the mark of man. It's left over from
Yeah, I mean
It's history.
this house
Mhm.
hosted 120 years of people's lives,
Memories.
and you can pull it out. Maybe there was 5 or 6 behind one of the mantles with photos and then letters, and 1910, 1925.
we were always looking for that Barabon, though, you know.
We were.
That
the
chunk of
gold doubloons.
Yeah.
in the wall,
Everybody asked what would happen if we ever found one of those. I said, you'd never see us again.
Last
Contract be
episode.
damned.
That
Yeah.
last episode.
It's so easy to go into a job that, like you said, we do mantles all the time and you're just kind of going out after a mantle. But then when you find something that slows you down, you realize, like you said, people have actually lived their lives here.
Yeah.
And you don't put something on a mantle that you don't care about.
And going under these houses with respect for
Mhm.
that, that's one thing that I always felt. You felt their presence and you
Yeah.
honored their presence, even though you were
Desecrating
desecrating the house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
despite what people may have
Yeah.
said.
Well,
You know?
and that's a lot of our problem. It's a conundrum for us. Mike and I got in this business because we loved old houses and old things, and we didn't want to see something get thrown into the
Trash.
landfill.
Yeah.
And so you get this knock together because this particular house, which was in a terrible neighborhood or was not in a great neighborhood and was misplaced there now and didn't have a future, there was a big effort to preserve that house, and it failed. Private property and things like that. I'm a big believer in that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so we ended up having to come in and take down many a house that people were trying to save. And there was a little bit of tension there. And, I'm there to, I was always trying to say, well, what are you doing?
to
Yeah.
save it.
We're
Yeah.
saving at least the part.
It's been on
Right.
the market for 10 years. you
Right.
know?
Well, somebody's out there yelling at us and says, "Lady, stay behind the tape.
Be careful while you're yelling
Do
at
not-
us, please.
Do not enter."
Here's
No,
a hard hat. While you
We're the
yell at
last best hope. And that's
Yeah,
what we
there you
always were, is when it got to
Bittersweet.
that point at that, 23rd hour, we're there to pick up the pieces and make sure that something lives on again.
Mhm.
And we saved a lot of great things from that house. I mean, there was some great
My
tile
gosh.
surrounds and beautiful doors.
the hardware.
The trim was a little tough, wasn't it, Mike? That's what got you in the head.
You know, it's usually
Strong.
just lets go a lot easier. And so this one didn't. We were breaking a lot of stuff, me and Ted and I. And this, I was up top pulling off a corner block or a plinth. And
May I interject here? This is the bleeder explanation.
Yes.
Yes,
segment of the
okay,
show.
so-
Setting it
I
up.
wanted, and,
Thank you.
And I was there. I remember.
You sure?
It was
You
so
got hit
funny.
pretty
Yeah,
hard.
yeah. I didn't lose the memory. But I hit myself in the head with it. It's
Big
not
flat
it's not
bar.
that anything else happened.
Big old flat bar.
Flat bar, you
Yep.
can see it, and right away I knew there was something going on. My glasses flew across the room,
What
and
a
so
nerd.
I'm going, okay, I'm bleeding, and then it's so funny because they're always looking for the blood in reality TV. So
Zoom in. Yeah.
I heard the producer Jeff Lanner say, "Follow Mike, he's bleeding.
Follow
Follow Mike,
Mike.
he's bleeding."
Oh, the blood trail.
It's like
it
going,
was-
go down. Go,
So I'm
go down
sitting
and
on the
talk to
back,
Mike.
Yeah, yeah.
I got blood coming down, and Robert comes in and says, "Hey, man, what are you doing?
Get off your
We
ass.
got work.
Yeah, we got work to do, man. We're not going to finish like that." I said, "Well, as soon as the ambulance comes, I'll figure it out."
Yeah.
But no, it was a little gash, and any head wound always bleeds more because someone who bleeds knows that the head wound is there's a lot of blood up there because the brain and everything. So
there
it's,
should be.
There ought to be.
Yeah, that's where it goes first.
Yeah.
And anyway, so
Yeah.
it was class 5.
Yeah.
Class 5
It
bleeder.
was a great house, a great salvage project. And like invariably, just kind of wrapping things up about this fine episode was, you know, these houses don't give up easy.
No.
And, you know, we were taking all the porch, the fretwork and the posts and all this stuff and beautiful stuff. And in fact, I just installed some of those parts in a house I'm redoing down the street for
Nice.
the porch
Nice.
posts.
Did you get a good deal?
Love
I got a great deal.
Love that.
They were the last leavings of the porch.
Yeah.
But you usually want to get the things off the porch, but you don't want to leave a dangerous situation because the house is usually going to be torn down for a couple weeks.
I mean, all we
want
to hear is something in the paper the next day that
Black Dog left.
Black Dog left, and there's
we're
carnage.
trying to pull this porch down. We have removed all the supports, and there she sits, just hanging up in the air.
Oh,
and it's just like they don't give up easy. And Mike finally got it he got it back on that house.
Got a crowbar after it, man. It was gratifying. But I was going to jump out on there with a
Ride her down.
God.
That was
like,
an epic
I'd be like
drop.
Slim
Yes,
Pickens
it
and
was.
Dr.
It made
No.
our
Yeah.
intro.
It was in the intro, I
Yeah.
think, for the rest of the
for
show.
the whole
Absolutely.
series.
Yeah.
It was a good
Well,
one.
I mean, I feel like that about sums it up. You know, that was season 1, episode 13, which originally aired on July 20th of 2013. Grayson,
flies.
thank you so much for being here with us to recap that. And we're going to go to break real quick, but we'll be right back.
We got to haul stuff. Big Tex trailer's really been there for us.
That's right.
We've got 2 trailers. We got the dump trailer that,
Which is awesome.
yeah, it is. I mean, you can haul a Bobcat with it.
You can do a whole
Or
lot of
skid
things.
steer. Yeah, probably things you shouldn't be doing with it, but that's part of the deal with these trailers. They got to be built tough because we're going to abuse them,
That's right.
and I'm sure ours is almost new looking compared to some I've seen out there.
Oh my gosh.
you
Yeah.
know? But
And as a welder, I fix a lot of broken stuff, and I don't fix many big Texas. You
Yeah,
know?
well,
I fix
then-
those cheaper trailers for people, but
yeah,
You got to choose your trailer carefully, and Big Tex is what I would choose.
they've come through for us. They were very good in providing these for us for the show.
That's
and
right.
we're still using them today. Good stuff. American made.
big Tex.
Okay, and we're back. But you know what? I think that just about wraps up the episode, y'all.
I'm sorry too, because that means Grayson's not going to be with us.
Dude, it's never long enough.
No.
It's never long
It's
enough.
been so good having
Thank
you here.
for having me.
Well, it's great having you, Grayson. And hey, everybody, if you want to find out more about these stories, you can log on to our website at blackdogsalvage.com or any other.
On the intro web.
Yeah, there you go. That's the big www.
You can also sign up for our newsletter to hear even more about us.
And of course, we got to do it. If you like what you've heard, help us please the robots that orchestrate all of this, and go share and like and rate our show wherever you get podcasts, whether that's on Apple, Spotify, wherever you're listening to it right now. You're already here.
Is it on AM radio?
Yeah, news talk. Yeah. They do really make a difference, and they help us continue to do this, honestly. So anything y'all do to engage, thank you so much.
Thanks again, Grayson. We
Thank
love
you so much
Thank
for
you,
being here,
guys.
Grace.
Thank you,
Please.
folks. Bye, y'all.
See you next time.
Bye, America.